What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out. This is my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, boy, I mean, it's been weeks and weeks and weeks of Uncle Phil coming out and laying the smack up and smack down on Sony, on your boy Jimothy Ryan crying, Jim Ryan the hypocrite. And so, Uncle Phil is like, look, I can't, I got to bring in reinforcements. Papa Satya came through, and he be sick of that. He did the people's elbow on Jim Ryan. He said some stuff. Here's the quote right now. And that's what's up. Bam! If you want competition, let us compete. You know what I'm saying? And you should watch the video. You should see his face where he's smiling. He's like, if you want oh man. Ooh, this is getting good. This is getting so good. You know why it's good? Because Microsoft knows. Phil and Satya, they know that they can't lose. Because the chips are not stacked in Sony's favor. You're looking at what Sony's talking about. Oh, it's not fair. And the fact is that Sony has not been playing fair this whole generation. So, therefore, there we go. They don't have a leg to stand on. They're over here saying all these things are unfair and a crime, in their eyes, but they've been doing the same thing for years. So the only way that this doesn't go through is if there's some corruption in the CMA, which is tied to Sony, which leads to the implication that Sony is corrupt. You see what I'm saying? So the deal has to go through. If Sony wants to come out of this unscathed as far as reputation goes, which is a little bit too late, but as far as reputation goes as unrepairable, irreparable damage done to their reputation, the deal has to go through. Because if it doesn't go through, something's fishy at Sony. That's what's up. If you want, you could be in conspiracy theory, conspiracy Steve, as Paris says. But I mean, that's just the simple, the layman version of it. And it really is something to behold, where you see these giant corporations going back and forth. And it's not even like the catty nature of the going back and forth. Like, I was listening to, I love Game On Daily, Acer and Acer and guys. And they had Randolph Thor, and they had Dealer on there today. I didn't even finish it, but it's good stuff. And basically, one of them brought up a point, I can't remember who it was, but they brought up the point of how all last generation Sony was doing this. And then when the tables are turned, when Microsoft's doing the same thing or attempting to do the same thing, oh, it's not fair. And it happened with the Tomb Raider deal when they got that exclusive content for a year or whatever. Oh, it's bad when Microsoft, this is a bad thing. I was like, I remember that when they were saying, oh, it's bad, And I'm like, wow, they were doing it back then, trying to kind of create this narration or narrative of Microsoft bad. Anything they do against us is bad. And for some reason, Sony feels like they're the savior of video games. And I'm like, no. And the thing is, like, I said this before in another video, but thinking about it again, like when the video game industry crashed in the 80s, right? I don't think it crashed. Well, here's what happened. Atari messed up their whole thing, and Atari was like really the only game in town. So that's why it was a crash, because the whole video game kind of the home video game market or industry was Atari. I mean, Coleco had the 5200 or whatever. They had the ColecoVision. Atari had the 5200, 7800, but and their computers. But Coleco was the competitor to Atari, but they got sued for doing that Atari adapter and stuff, so they got knocked out of the game. And Atari was the only home video console. They had a monopoly. They had a monopoly at one point, and basically kind of did. And when they messed up by saturating the market with hot garbage games, and it was just too many games, too many hot garbage games, and nobody just stopped, the market crashed, and you know, everything. So that was a singular kind of crash where it's Atari had the market and they messed up, and then coincidentally or non-coincidentally, Nintendo swooped in and picked up the slack. Basically, they said, "Oh, here's our opportunity." Nintendo originally went to Atari to distribute the NES, the Famicom, in the United States. Atari said, "Nah, son, we got this." And they pushed their whatever, 70, 50, 200, 7800, whatever it was coming out at the time. So Nintendo just said, all right, we'll just do it ourselves. And boom, they took over, you know? And they become the de facto video game entity. Those days are over. Those days are over, son. It's not just one, oh, I'm gonna go play Atari, or I'm gonna go play Nintendo. That's not it anymore. So, and the thing is, Sony's acting like that's what it is. Sony's acting like, oh, we are video games, so if we crash and we fail, then all the video games fail. Hell no. Are they smoking crack? What's wrong with Jim Ryan? How delusional do you have to be in order to believe that you have the power now that Atari had back in the day, or the NES had back in the day? Now, I know Sony's sore, their booty holes are sore because Nintendo screwed them over in the 90s, right? So I think there's a little bit of ego, yes. Then, and also maybe a little bit of the like, oh, Japan started video games, which is not actually true. It did start in America with Tennis for Two on a oscilloscope or something. Some ridiculous science dude was like, let me make this, and he did it. But so maybe it's a little bit of that. Maybe it's a little bit of Japanese ego where they say, oh, you know, we're synonymous with video games since the inception, but actually, you know, whatever. You know, who popularized Apple? Steve Wozniak made the first Apple computers, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't Sony. It wasn't Nintendo. You know, they call it a Famicom. It wasn't a computer, it's a toy. Nintendo's been making toys all the whole existence of Nintendo is all about toys. They are a toy maker. They started making cards, and then now you see how they made the little remote control car to go with this toy. They are a toy company that happens to make video games. They just make more money doing video games. So anyway, it's very high-tech toys if you want to be. But anyway, getting off topic. So the notion that Sony is this all-encompassing, all-powerful, or is the epitome of video games is false. It's a fallacy. And the fact that people believe that are delusional. So they need to reevaluate their lives a little bit. Just kidding. But you do. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And to put all your eggs into the Sony basket is a mistake, because they are not making moves pro-consumer wise. Not. As far as if I was an investor in Sony right now, I would be upset and I would be like, yo, I need to sell or get out of here because y'all are making foolish. The future does not look bright for PlayStation right now because y'all don't have a plan. PlayStation does not have a plan. That's the problem. I would say the only thing that would help PlayStation right now is if they come out with a new portable system. That is kind of like what the Wii is. It would be super expensive. I would say they would, if they make a low-powered, smaller PlayStation, make it portable. Do what the Switch is doing. Except they're making a portable that you can plug into your TV. Sony doesn't want to lose the power narrative or the power positioning. So they want to keep at least close to what Xbox is doing. If they fall behind too far as far as the power narrative, the power visuals, power, I don't know, looking less powerful, it's going to hurt them. You know, people will bounce and go to the more powerful console because graphics, of course, they exist. So if they were to do something like another portable PlayStation, they need to make a super powerful PlayStation 5, 6, 5 Pro, whatever. And then they need to make a PlayStation Mini, PlayStation 5 Mini, or whatever they're going to call it. Or PlayStation PSP 5, whatever they want to call it. And just make it like a Steam Deck, basically. You know, the problem is the pricing. You know, Steam Decks are basically what a freaking PS5 costs. So it's like super impossible for them to do that. So yeah, they're in a bad situation right now. This generation, they can't do things, and it costs so much money to like create a hardware device, a new hardware device like that. For them, it would be too much money. I don't think they have the money. I mean, they could borrow it, sure, but like cash on hand, they don't have it. You know, they just bought Destiny for billions, 3 or 4 billion. You know what I mean? So it's not gonna work. But yeah, I mean, Papa Satya came out. He smacked them up, and I like this Microsoft. What's happening now? The position they have put themselves in is making me smile I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, what smackings did Satya and Uncle Phil, Papa Satya and Uncle Phil give to that fool, crying lion, Jim Ryan hypocrite today? I'm wondering if Jim Ryan's gonna even say anything else, because he's been getting wrecked this whole couple weeks. He say something, they come and like, okay, we're gonna do the Bloomberg thing. Okay, I'm ready, let's go. And he did it, and it's like smack smack. And the last line was just like and he was just like smiling like, let's compete, boy, let's go. So I'm like, wow. All the people were like, oh, just talk about the kumbaya. Microsoft is all kumbaya. I want, like Z, Next Gen 720. He's like, oh, I want Microsoft to be the behemoth that they are. Well, be careful what you wish for, because that's what they're doing right now. They smacking them up. They smacking them down. They're making them look like foolish clowns. And that's what's up. I'm just waiting for the good. I mean, it's inevitable. The deal's going to go through. If it doesn't go through, like I said, Sony's going to look even worse. And they will only enrage Microsoft more to buy a whole bunch of little ones and to do some other things. Look, however you want to look at it, money rules the world. Money is power. And if money is power, guess what? Guess who has more power? Microsoft has more power. Sony can't compete with that power. You could fit 59 Sonys inside of what Microsoft is worth. I don't even know if that number is right, but I haven't done the math on that, but it's a lot. I haven't even actually looked at the latest worth of Microsoft. It was past 2 trillion last time I checked, so that's a lot. Sony's not even in the TT. They're not even in T-class yet. But, I mean, they'll continue to put out good games. PlayStation, you know, God of War Ragnarok's gonna be okay. And whatever else, I don't know. Whatever else is good. I would say Uncharted, probably. You know, whatever Destiny Bungie's gonna do. Yeah, so there'll be some good games, but like I said before I said the PlayStation is gonna turn into a niche exclusive box, because you got Microsoft and you have Tencent and you have, I don't know if it's NetEase. Look, there are all of these giant corporations that are out there that are bigger than Microsoft. Is 4th or 5th, says not Satya, right? So how is the number one leader in video games scared and complaining about number 4? And I keep saying it, and it keeps coming true. It keeps coming to fruition. More and more content creators and people that are talking on the internet, people who have giant audiences, keep saying Sony is scared. Sony is scared. Why would they say this? What's going on? Sony looks scared. Sony's going down a road that it's not good. It's not good for gaming, and that's the main thing for me, right? Last thing, the main thing about what Sony's doing, besides being anti-consumer, because you can be anti-consumer, right, in a way that's like, oh, that's kind of messed up, but they still make good games, so we'll allow it. But the main thing is they're literally making the industry worse. They're increasing their profits by what they're doing, but they're making it harder for gamers to play games. They want it so that you have to pay more for video games, which is antithetical or antithetical. I guess that's the word I want to use. But it's anti-growth. It doesn't help more gamers go in and play video games. You know what I'm saying? It hinders the ability for people who aren't super able to afford video games to go into. Game Pass is perfect for that. Game Pass is perfect. Game Pass is the perfect casual gaming ecosystem. It's so perfect that it rivals, I would say, cell phones, where like cell phones are just easy. You just go boop, beep, boop, 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 you play the game, whatever. A lot of free to play stuff, right? So that's zero barrier. The only barrier to entry on phones is you got to go find the game and download it or whatever, right? That's it. Game Pass, the barrier is what, $15 a month, whatever, $10 a month. It's so small compared to what the old ways, the old model was, which is what Sony's sticking to, and that's the problem. And as long as they stick to that model, they will continue to lose ground and continue to fail and continue to look scared because they don't know what they're doing. I don't think that they admitted it last generation that they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't understand why the PlayStation is selling so much. Either they're just being slick and funny, or they really didn't know. And what's happening now leads me to believe that they probably didn't know. So, yeah, I'm just glad Sony's going through this and not Microsoft. Microsoft kind of went through it for like 2 seconds and then he's like, get out of here, freaking Don. Get out of here, Don. You fired. And they got Phil in there. Phil's been the best thing to ever happen to Microsoft right now. He's been the best CEO he's turned it around. You know. But let me know how y'all feel about Satya Nadella coming out and just smacking Jim Ryan up and down the lanes, suplexing, leg dropping on his face. Let me know what y'all think. Was it deserved? Deserved. Well, you know, as a CEO, should he have more couth? Should he be like, oh, should he? Or should he be like, yeah, you know, compete, let's go. But anyway, I appreciate y'all hanging out. Hit it up in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. And I'll take y'all next time to